All right, so this might be day four, I think. Day four of squatting every day. Really, I've been doing this for about 4 to 6 months of not squatting every day, but squatting almost every day. And just recently, I decided to make the effort. So, before I get into anything, I wanted to talk about, I always will talk about what I think is most important. So, read the screen if you want to know what I'm doing. But in light of recent events, of like what's happening in Ukraine, I guess the Ukraine is pretty like worrisome, right? It strikes a lot of fear in your heart, or at least worry or concern for what's going to happen in the future. And the weird thing is that we often, when things happen, we don't always just like immediately sympathize with whoever is suffering, but we go like, man, what's that going to mean for me and my family? That's like where our mind jumps to. I think it's time for us to wake up, and that's what I'm going to say. Wake up, and hopefully, through the course of watching some of my videos or whatever, go visit my Instagram. But like, I'm just sharing as many thoughts as I can to help inspire people to get up and to get going. I think the time is over. Like, not like we can't pray anymore. I'm just saying, like, when all we do is like we pray for people that are suffering, pray for people to feel better, pray for things to get better. Our prayers are being heard, but it's like that's not what we need right now. What we need is for everyone to do something. And at the very least, what I'm proposing is that we all talk. Let's just talk, because if we don't say anything, then nothing will get done. Obviously, speaking does not make things happen, but nothing can get done without some communication first, at least nothing worthwhile. So, what I believe is happening is that on a global scale, there's going to be a lot of breakdown, a lot of, I guess, chaos that will erupt. Imagine like as if in each country there's like under like you've heard of underwater volcanoes, but imagine one that's under the ground. And at some point, these magma chambers are due and are bound to erupt. And it's like each country, each government, each system has some sort of underlying thing going on. There's always people that are plotting to take power. And I think at some point the instability is going to show, and every single country, major country, and every single government is going to start seeing signs of weakening and then collapse. And normally, what happens is that people don't really realize the signs of it until after it's already happened. So that's why I'm doing my best to speak up now, is that we need to be prepared. I'm not saying we can stop it or that we can turn it around. I'm saying we need to prepare, because we never know when that's going to happen. At this point, it's likely too late for us to do anything about it. The only thing we can do is in our own personal sphere of influence. We need to be strong. We need to set examples. We need to make changes. So that's what I've been doing the last couple months. But really, I only started doing this because I had the feeling, just like people call it a gut feeling. I felt it in my heart. I felt in my heart that time might be running out, and that pretty soon it might be too late. So we need to start doing something now. Um, and the too late that I'm referring to is that it might be too late to make the changes in the preparation. Because when the day comes that everything that you know and love is destroyed, what are you going to have left? You're going to have your physical abilities, your intellect, and your relationships with people. And so you need to build those up. You need to strengthen those. And any way you can do that is what you need to do. That's just how it's going to be. So listen to my voice, listen to my words, and hopefully this is enough to get you off your butt and into the gym today. And if not today, then when? That's my question. When? After all the destruction happens, it takes months and years for strength to build. And so you don't have all that time that you think you do. You got to start as soon as possible. Maybe you don't have all the same equipment that I have or the same setup. You just got to find a way. And the only thing I would suggest is to talk to God. And God is someone that's looking out for our best interest. And although that might be hard to believe, seeing as how evil things are going on, and all this destruction, nefarious designs of people that want to take control and take power, God doesn't control those people because they control themselves. Not only that, the devil controls them. God will only, his interest is in protecting all of his children. So rather than stopping everything from happening, what he also wants is for our development and growth. And so he's going to use every single thing that the devil can throw at us and turn it into a way for us to be stronger. So anyway, I'm warming up. I guess I felt like the ligaments and tendons in my knee can be strengthened a little bit, and by breaking. So there's different planes of motion. If you want to think horizontally from left to right, I think that's called the transverse plane, maybe horizontal plane, but you can look them up. It's online. There's different planes of motion, and basically the idea of strength is that you're testing your ability to withstand pressure in those awkward ranges of motion. So standing straight up is when your body is in a secure and structured, supported position. Sitting down is also supportive of your body structure. But when you move out of that comfortable range of, like, that comfortable plane, like right now I'm breaking the forward and backwards plane, and also my side to side is being tested by balancing the weight. And so it's like, just by forcing my body out of its range, a comfortable range of motion is how you build strength. That's basically the idea. So what I'm thinking is that it's really easy to train the back part of your legs and your ligaments and tendons there. Also, first is that when you think of strength, don't just think of muscles as strength. Think of your whole system as muscles plus joints plus ligaments plus tendons plus neurological system. So like your nervous system, all that combined. So you got to find ways to condition all of it. And I could go into depth, I guess, about what that means, but maybe you should just think about it yourself. I would just say one key is repetition. Another key is proper loading of going up to maybe 80% of your max, or maybe anywhere around that. Also, you should think about the proper form, as in how far into the range of motion can you go before your body gives up its integral capacity and strength. Basically, before your form collapses. So that's why I'm focusing on squat depth, because recently I've been going up in weight on squats, but as I watched the film, I realized that I'm not going all the way down. I'm maybe going 80% down into the depth of the range of motion, maybe even 90% at times, but not 100%. So what I'm doing today is forcing myself to the bottom of the squat and staying there for a second. And hopefully this will translate over to my heavier squats, because when I hit a 300-pound squat, I don't want any doubt in my mind as to whether or not I hit it, just because of my range of motion. I want to do all the way up, or all the way down, all the way up, and leave no doubt in my mind that I can squat that weight. So that's what it is. That's just the name of the game, is quality of reps, number of reps, and loading of the weights on the reps. And that's how you build strength over months, over years. And there's no shortcuts unless you take steroids, I guess, but there's no shortcuts. There's only more efficient ways to do it, and you got to discover what those ways are on your own. It's going to take you experimenting, your body adapting, your mind getting sharper and quicker and more reactive, and over time you'll figure it out. That's just the puzzle we all have to figure out. So here I'm moving to 135. I think I only went up to maybe 185 today. And I can tell this is exactly what I need, because it's testing my strength. Like it's like I'm going into a range of motion that I haven't tested before, basically. So like at the very bottom of my squat is almost like a new exercise, because I haven't even gotten to that depth yet. I've done everything except for the last bottom 10%. So it's like I'm incorporating almost 2 exercises into one. When you do something new you haven't done before, it's like it's shocking to your system. And so you'll see that I didn't lift as much weight today as I could have. I can lift probably 230 pounds, 245 pounds with ease if I don't do the full range, if I do the partial range of motion that I was talking about. But that's not my goal. That will never be my goal. I want to do everything right. So anyway, now going up to 165, I'm still focusing basically on forcing my body into that depth, and then keeping my core and my back and everything tight and rigid so that I can stand it back up. And basically practicing depth and form. So yeah. If anyone has any comments or anything to make about my form, open to that. I'd love to hear it. And if you have any questions, I'll also answer those. So I guess maybe I have like 2 more minutes left. I'm not exactly sure how much film I have left to go over, but basically, I guess I do RDLs after this. So RDLs, Romanian deadlifts is a great way to build up your back, leg, hip strength, and also your grip strength. If you do an overhand grip, challenge yourself, I guess. Don't cheat by doing any alternate grips that will reduce the pressure on your wrists and your grip strength on your fingers. Just attack that weakness head on. But just barely. I just had an experience where I was talking to someone. So on Facebook, I'm in a couple online groups, And there's someone talking a lot about depression, about anxiety, like kind of asking for advice. And I thought about this. There's this analogy that I've been really struggling a lot to formulate these thoughts, but it finally came around to fruition. I understand now how I can communicate this better. In my mind, I think depression is some sort of like, so it's reflective of your energy level, not just like your day-to-day energy, but like your spirit. How charged are you? How charged is your battery? And when you start to get depressed is when your body's letting you know that, or at least you're feeling it. You're able to detect when your energy is low. And just to make it simple, just maybe relate that to dopamine. That maybe like compare it to being depleted of dopamine. We know that dopamine is the response of our body when things are good, or like they're that are desirable, that our body sends us dopamine, releases dopamine so that we can be notified that that thing is good. But that system can be hijacked. We know that for a fact from addictions, from all sorts of stimulus from social media. Anxiety, I think, is when you haven't been developed enough as a person, and now you're threatened in your environment. So it's like anxiety is a creeping sense of fight or flight that is like, it's like the early onset, where it hasn't fully gone to fight or flight, but you're being notified that, hey, you're not prepared for any high pressure situations, and you're probably going to suffer if you're put into anything stressful or anything dangerous. And so that anxiety will always be there unless you do something about it. Depression is indicating that your dopamine levels are low, and anxiety is telling you like, hey, if something happens, you're probably not going to make it out, so you got to start doing something about it. That's how I see it. And I know there's different cases of medical depression and medical anxiety, but I think the majority of us struggle because we're not there yet. We haven't become the people that we need to be. I think biologically, we're programmed for a few things. We're programmed for self-preservation, um, for reproduction, and I don't know, like maybe there's a few other basic functions. But your body is able to notify you that if you haven't prepared sufficiently to fulfill those functions, your body's going to tell you by either being like telling you that, hey, you're depressed, hey, your dopamine is low, hey, like you need to fix this, and then anxiety will get you off your butt. Hopefully that's your body's way of signaling to you like, hey, hopefully you don't want to feel like this ever again, so let's get off your butt and let's get going. And so I think I might have mentioned this already during the video, but the only way you can attack this is by looking at it from these 3 points of view. First, how good is your physical health and your strength? Second, how good are your relationships, and how well are you making an impact on those around you in your community, whether that be friends, family, or whatever. Then third, what's your societal status, I guess, like in terms of maybe wealth or income or whatever, like how established are you in society? Like if something were to go down, would you have the resources and the means available to protect yourself and to sustain a good quality of life? So all these things should be on the forefront of your mind, I guess. And we're being conditioned to not think of those things, that like if you're depressed, it's somehow not your fault, or somehow you need to let other people take care of it for you, like with therapy or whatever. I think we need to take it on head on. That's my opinion, but obviously there's room for me to be wrong because maybe I'm not informed about everything, but I just want everyone to think about that. So anyway, that's been it for today. Have a great one. Get off your butt, go to the gym.